retail establishment. So my question is, if you have a beer deli with a restaurant license, if it has bulletproof glass, you're saying just the bulletproof glass itself means that business is no longer eligible to be called a restaurant. His answer, that's correct, Councilman, on page 134. That's correct. You can read his testimony. You can also see the videotape. I am not criticizing him. I am telling you what he testified to. Some people said that's before the amendment. Has he said anything after the amendment? Not publicly. Did he testify to the city council that after the amendment I changed my mind, bulletproof glass is okay? So some people said, well, we talked to him on the phone, or we talked to him privately. Well, privately is privately. He's a public official. If he wants to change what he said on camera, on video, recorded before his testimony in front of city council, he should say so publicly. But what he said here in no uncertain terms very clearly is no bulletproof glass. If you have bulletproof glass, you are not a restaurant. Now today we heard about the PLCB. Okay, that's the state. The city is different. L&I is saying, here's what you must be. You must be a real restaurant. You must cook hot food. And you cannot have bulletproof glass, or you cannot be zoned as a restaurant. Now, if you're not a restaurant, how can you get a food license or an alcohol license? You cannot. So, let us look at the language of this bill. So I have brought a copy of the bill. I'm going to read on page 2, section G. We are not in dispute on this bill. We do not disagree with this bill. Nobody wants a nuisance business. We do not argue about this bill. There's only one section, section G, that we say is illegal. The city does not have the right to regulate alcohol. 2, it's unconstitutional because they are telling private citizens and private property owners to take down a purely self-defense measure that has nothing to do with compliance. So I'm going to read section G. By no later than January 1st, 2021. That means any time before January 1st, 2021. Can be next month, can be 6 months, can be next year. Anytime before January 1st, 2021, the Department of Licenses and Inspections shall promulgate regulations to provide for the use or removal. Use or removal. The important word is removal. So L&I, before January 1st, 2021, will make rules on how you may use or not use your bulletproof glass. What size, what it should be made of, where it can be, maybe not the full counter, maybe a quarter of the counter, maybe only at the cash register, or maybe not at all. They said they didn't make a decision yet. What we said is you have no right to make any decision about what the store owner has installed for their protection. That's unconstitutional, that's illegal. So there we have a very big difference. I know that in some public statements, some of the council people have said, the bill does not take down safety glass. What do you think this says? Can you say it doesn't take down safety glass? No, at best you can say it gives the authority to L&I to decide if you must take down safety glass or not. What we said is that is illegal and unconstitutional. And by the way, you are only really targeting the Asian business owners. You cannot tell other citizens to take down safety glass. They will not let you do that. They will say that's unconstitutional and illegal, and they will fight you. Do you believe that all these Asian Americans will allow you to violate their constitutional rights and their legal rights? Is that why you think you can do this? Again, we're not arguing about laws to have businesses comply with logical, intelligent rules about serving the community, but this portion, we are 100% against. So, if somebody says, don't worry, don't be upset, what you heard is not true. This bill does not take down safety glass. It doesn't do that. Don't be upset. Don't raise money. Don't get a lawyer. Don't go to the state. Just go back to home, watch television, go to sleep, go back to your business. Don't worry. What do you think they're saying to you? What we're saying is, whoever is saying that, we say, listen, be honest with the people. If they are upset, if they are trying to stand up for their rights, that's not a bad thing, that's a good thing. We want Asian Americans to have the ability to protect their rights like any group of people. Muslims, gays, African Americans, women, Latinos, people in a wheelchair, people who are blind, whoever has a right, we want them to protect their rights. So when people tell you, don't worry, nothing happened, whatever you think happened didn't happen, whatever you think you saw you didn't see, go back to sleep. We say, listen, you're not speaking in the interests of our Constitution, our laws, and certainly not the Asian American community. We want to be more active. And we will decide, you will decide if you're okay with the law or not. If you're not okay with it, you don't have to accept it. The second thing, they say this, the law passed, nothing you can do about it. So you better get a group of people and come sit at the table with us. And we'll discuss what to do about your business, your safety glass, and we'll work together. Do you think they're going to work together with you? Well, I think they already made up their mind, and they are looking for some yellow faces to sit at the table with them to say, we all agreed. How many votes do you think you have at that table? If you say, I don't like that part, do you think someone's going to listen to you? Why should you cooperate in violating your own rights? Somebody said to me, please don't execute me. Vote no. I said, yes, you have my vote. I won't vote to execute you. And then I come back and I say, good news. I amended the bill. Now it's up to the executioner whether to execute you or not.
That's what it is.
Do you feel better? Said, why don't you sit down with the executioner and discuss whether or not you should or shouldn't be executed, what day, under what circumstance. Do you feel better? No. Why? Because we shouldn't have this discussion at all. And so when they say Asian Americans must come to the table to talk with us, we say no. We're not going to sit down with you when you violate our constitutional rights and when you violate the law. We're going to fight you. Don't expect any Asian American leaders to sit with you. Believe me, if African American leaders during the civil rights movement said, okay, we'll sit down with you, we'll negotiate. 7 days a week we cannot sit in the front of the bus, but maybe 3 days a week we can sit in the front, 4 days a week we'll sit in the back. What do you think will happen?
Buses will turn upside down.
What happens is you have agreed to sit in the back of the bus. Now it's your fault. We are fighting against the discrimination, the illegal law. Why would we sit at the table and negotiate against ourselves? We're saying 100% this is illegal, unconstitutional. We will not sit down and agree how to be violated. We should fight. You should fight. Not in a rude way, but in a clear way. And for anyone who says, you didn't see what you just saw, what you think happened didn't happen, go back home. Go back to your business. Be quiet. Disappear. Be silent. We say, listen, it's important for the Asian American community to know what happened and to voice their opinion and to be engaged politically and legally. You know, this letter, it's dated September 10th, 2017. This is the letter from the city to the Asian American Legal and Education Defense Fund, because we told the Asian American Legal and Education Defense Fund that the city is not admitting that closing the Chinese restaurants at 11 o'clock and fining them $2,000, the city is saying it's not discrimination. And so after a year of trying to work with the city and trying to say, listen, this is discriminatory, we finally had to have a rally, introduce an amendment, and sue the city. And in November 2010, which is pretty recently, after our rally and everything, this is the letter from the city. I write on behalf of the City of Philadelphia in response to your demand letter dated October 26, 2017. As an initial matter, the city categorically denies that it has engaged in selective or racially discriminatory enforcement of the Philadelphia Code. The city law department says closing the Chinese restaurants, fining them $2,000, having the police come out, threatening to arrest is not discrimination, even though 96% of all violations were only Chinese takeout restaurants, and next door, other businesses are allowed to stay open past 11. The city said it's not discrimination. The city also said, why don't you work with us? We said, we're not going to work with you. You're going to have to admit that you are discriminating against the Chinese. You must admit that. If you don't admit it, we cannot trust that you will not do it again. First, you got to admit. Second, you got to pay back all the money you took, right? Should we let them keep the money? It's illegal, unconstitutional? No. If you admit, which is true, that you discriminated against the Chinese, you cannot keep the money, return the money. Number 3, anyone who hired a lawyer or went out of business, you got to pay them. Does the city want to pay them?
No.
No. Listen, the city is not going to pay if they don't have to. And if we negotiate, what will we get?
Nothing.
Nothing. Just say, okay, we're not going to do it for now. Maybe next year they'll start again. On the safety glass, if you let them tell you to take it down, is that the end? You're going to show them that you are willing to be violated again and again and again. You're going to tell them you're going to be blamed for things that you're not blameworthy of. You're going to tell them, come back to my store. How about the Chinese restaurant now? Take down our bulletproof glass. Change our hours. Make new laws for us. Are you a restaurant, Chinese takeout restaurant? Maybe not. Maybe they said maybe you're not. They said that, even you serve hot food, you're not a restaurant if you have bulletproof glass. If you let the government start violating your rights, they do so because they believe you are weak, you're afraid, you're quiet, and you have no friends. But what we have seen in both the 11 p.m. ordinance fight and this safety glass is you've got a lot of friends. The Philadelphia Inquirer, Channel 6, Channel 3, Channel 10 News, almost overwhelmingly the public says the city should not discriminate against Chinese takeout restaurants and should not make the business owners take down safety glass. African Americans, Latinos, Caucasians, all kind of people say that is too much for the government to do. So you have a lot of friends. That is why they are trying to call you and tell you, keep it quiet, keep it down. Don't keep stirring this up. You know, we didn't stop the city from discriminating against the Chinese takeout restaurants with just the Chinese takeout owners. A lot of African Americans, a lot of Caucasians, a lot of Latinos came and joined us and said that is wrong. And so the city got surprised. Oh, the Chinese have friends who vote. Not just Chinese people came out. Black people, white people, all kind of people came out. And in the news, people said, what is the matter with that city? What is the matter with the mayor? What's the matter with them? Do you know they say that about this law? What is up with the crazy city council? That is why people are saying, oh, it's nothing, forget it, go back home, keep quiet, work with us, we'll negotiate something. What I'm telling you is, regardless of what you want, I as an elected official, I will fight this because it is illegal, unconstitutional, and discriminatory. Doesn't matter who it is against, black, white, rich, poor, doesn't matter. It's a bad law, that one section. I understand the good intention. I understand it was meant to do good, but it is illegal and unconstitutional, and so we must fight against it. Okay, thank you.